So I want to talk today about those killer heels that may be killing you. So now, before I begin, I've learned my lesson from previous videos. So anytime I am guilty of something that I'm telling you not to do, I always need to provide clarity. So these are what I call my cello heels. And they're about 5 inches, which is actually subtle considering that some heels are as much as 8 inches. But these are about 5.5 inches. And the reason they're called my cello heels is because I only wear them when I play my cello. And that usually involves me getting to wherever I'm going to play and then putting the shoes on while I'm already seated. And then taking them off the minute I'm done and putting back on other shoes to travel in. So I don't walk in these. I can't walk in them. I have muscular dystrophy. Could you imagine that? Well, let's not. Okay, so today's video is on killer heels and why they may be killing you. Stay tuned and thank you. Thank you for watching. So first I want to get into some of the most obvious effects of wearing heels on a regular basis. Now, I know that, heels can definitely enhance your appearance. And how do they do this? Well, posture, for instance. They place the heels unnaturally above the toes and throw your whole body, your hips, your shoulders, your back, your spine, totally out of alignment. The upside of this is that for those of you who like that little protruding butt, well, the heels will give you that because your body's out of alignment. It's not natural. If you look at the two figures here, in flat shoes, you can barely notice it, but in heels, there you have the little bump sticking out. And it also causes you to walk in a certain way, which although it may appear to be a quote-unquote sexy walk, it's actually you're walking out of alignment, and as you get older, you will realize the damage you have done. Starting with the knee, teetering around in stilettos throws your body forward and puts increased pressure on the inside of your knee. And this can lead to arthritis, which, trust me, that is not cute. And it's painful and it's irreversible. And it can also lead to other degenerative joint diseases in the knees. So this is something that you want to be aware of. And again, while you're young, you're not thinking about it. But as you get older, and sometimes you don't even have to get into old age to start having these problems, if you constantly wear heels. The calf, the muscles in the calf naturally contract when you walk in high heels. However, if you wear them long enough, you can shorten and tighten these muscles, these calf muscles, permanently. And that can lead to pain in the ball of the foot or the knee or even back pain. Look at the model here with the pressure of the different sizes of heels. Now, a 1-inch heel may give you 22% of pressure, a 2-inch heel, 57%, and a 3-inch, 76%. But if you're overweight, then you can double those figures or maybe even triple them because you're putting all that weight on the heel. Ankle injuries, and we'll get more into that, but a lot of accidents have been called from people losing their balance, and it increases the chances of falling, and especially if you're older or overweight. Again, you big girls that are wearing these heels, beware that everything that's a style is not a style for you. There's also something called the pump bump, and it has a more professional name called Haglund's deformity. And this is an enlargement of the back of the heel, and it's caused by the straps and the rigid backs of the pump style shoes. So this can give you a deformity, and it's caused by rubbing and irritating of the heel. And I can tell you, one time the back of my heels was so sore from wearing pumps that I actually had to put Band-Aids on the back of my heels to keep it, and it didn't help. It really didn't. It rubbed right through it. It was the worst feeling ever. And there's nothing cute about walking around in fancy shoes with a frown on your face because you're in pain. Then there's the ball of the foot pain, and we won't even talk about the hammer toes. So when you have a moment, I want you to look at all of these things and then think about it. Is it worth it? There are a lot of very cute and sexy flats or even lower heeled shoes. So think about that when you are out and about making your shoe purchases. Here we can see someone actually had a little accident in their high heels. And, you know, it looks like this was in Asia somewhere. But the thing is that once a trend takes place in America, then every place else wants to pick it up because we are considered the fashion elite. We are considered the U.S. and Paris are considered the two fashion capitals, and so in particularly New York. And so, you know, people want to emulate the styles that are in these places. And sure enough, here someone nearly broke their neck from wearing heels. Obviously, walking on a treadmill is not something that you would do in heels. But again, this is a prime example of heels that are just too high. And these are the popular stilettos. And as you can see, they cause the foot to arch unnaturally. Now think about this. If we were meant to walk this way, wouldn't we have been born with our feet already arched like this? No, this is not natural. And even though it defines the legs and all of that looks great when we're young, as we get older, problems begin to develop. And sometimes if you've worn heels for long enough, you actually can't walk without them. You become flat-footed and your feet do not feel natural walking in a flat state. You always have to have something, a little lift. And I know this from personal experience. In this image, you can actually see the vibration of the damage that's taking toll on your feet every single time you wear heels. And this is not a good look, folks. It's bad. It's bad for a lot of reasons, because also as you're increasing this pressure, you're also developing other problems within your body that can manifest from the pressure and the pain and these signals that are being sent to your brain that something is not right, and you can wind up with stress. A lot of people, I have seen girls coming from a night out partying, and they're walking on the filthy ground because they have to carry their shoes because their shoes can no longer carry them, and that's not cute. It's so not cute. Also, if you add in the element of drugs and alcohol, some of you barely get home because you're falling all over the place. So, and this also is not cute. I've seen it in the runways of Paris, where they put these girls in these shoes and they don't train them how to walk, and as a result, they look like. Now I have muscular dystrophy, but she looks like she has it, and I'm sure she doesn't, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I'm just saying, what part of that is fashionable? It's not a good look. Now, these are my dream shoes. If there ever were any, these are it. These, to me, have to be absolutely the most magnificent pair of shoes I've ever seen. And the heel is modest. And there's still all that and a bag of Doritos. So they get my vote, although I'll probably never own them because I won't be able to walk in them, but they're definitely a good look. Here we have another case of someone on a runway somewhere who just can't quite cut it in those shoes. Now, I'll tell you something. I mentioned earlier about dancing. Well, guess what? There was a man who wore heels who could dance his butt off in those heels. And he always landed on his feet. And that was the late, great Prince. Now, albeit most of his dancing involved gyrating on a floor, no one could wear out a pair of heels like Prince. And I think that's one of the things that he'll be remembered for, in addition to his legacy is the fact that he could sure rock some heels, and he put in work in those heels. However, there's a lot to be said about going barefoot. Now, if you look at this picture, it's from 1960. The Ethiopian marathon champion, Abibi Bikila, he won the gold medal running barefoot. And if you see, the guy behind him has on sneakers, but he won barefoot. So all of these sneaker companies that try to sell you sneakers and tell you it can increase your performance, don't believe it. It's a lie. The guy didn't have on any shoes, and he won. The other thing is, be careful what you put on your children's feet. A lot of these plastics are toxic. And of course, they're not going to tell you because they want to sell them. So they make them cutesy, and they put little things on it that they know the kids are going to like, and they're going to beg you for it. But in effect, not only can they also be harmful in terms of your child's walking, because a lot of them are flat-based, which is not the way our feet are made, but they also, again, have these toxic chemicals that they're made with. And as the sweat comes out of our bodies, or we go places where there's water, the chemicals are released. And you're wondering why your child is always sick and the doctor doesn't know what's wrong with them. Check the footwear. Here's a little demonstration of some things that come as a result of wearing heels. I mentioned already flat feet and hammer toes. But here you have a graph of the inside of your foot, and you can see the way the bone is made. It is not made to endure long periods of walking in these heels. Not to mention, you can get some really gross stuff like those plantar warts. They're ugly, and they seep this really smelly ooze that comes out, and it's just gross. I was in the hospital, and I was in a bed next to a woman who had that in addition to other problems, and the whole room reeked. So imagine if you're out and about and you've got those things, that not a good look. All right. These have got to be the ugliest shoes ever. I'm sure it was somebody's idea of a joke, but oh my goodness, they're ugly. They're fugly, which is freaking ugly. And second place goes to these platforms. Now, I'm sure this is just for the runway, but nevertheless, there's sometimes you can be just a little bit too fashionable, and I think this is the case. So this is not going to be a long video today. I just wanted to give you some insight into the high heels and the fact that these killer heels may actually be killing you. They could be killing your feet, but they can also cause very dangerous accidents from which you may not recover. Because if you're all dressed up and you're out to have a good time, chances are you're not wearing a helmet. So if you fall and crack your head open, was it worth it? I don't think so. And guess who's not going to be at the funeral? Christian Louboutin is not going to be there. Jimmy Choo is not going to be there. You know, they're not even going to realize that you're missing. So on that note, Lord, as always, I try to give the people knowledge about things, and this was one of the things that you led my heart to tell people about, because we're in a time now where everyone wants to follow the fashion trends of the day, and that's understandable. We all like to look nice, Lord, but I ask you to have the people use discernment, because it is indeed necessary and to accept wise counsel in the matters of these things before something that cannot be undone is done. So protect and cover the young people as they're out and about chasing their fashion trends, and help them to be wise about their choices. And thank you as always for the subscribers. Thank you for the people who just dropped by. Thank you indeed for the haters, and thank you, Lord, for my assignment. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.